We're from LeapMotion. I am Mike, otherwise known as Kiwi, and we've got here Kai, who is one of the members of our developer community that's most recently been doing a lot of work with us, especially in D3 and our Leap JavaScript API. I've got Josh, who's the lead of our web team and is also the creator of our Leap JavaScript API. And I've got Isaac here, who's just recently joined us as well and is doing some really, really cool stuff in 3JS and Leap JavaScript. So I'll do a very, very, very brief introduction about what LeapMotion is, just in case there's a few people out there that don't really know. So this is the LeapMotion controller. It's a small device that plugs into your laptop or computer via USB. And basically what it is it's creating an interactive space directly above it. So I can't really do it very easily, but if that was, here you can see what he's doing, right? So it's tracking his hands and fingers down to 100th of a millimeter with almost zero latency. So he's creating a space sort of around this area, and he can directly interact with that space. So that's the product. It's the vision of our two company co-founders, Michael Buchwald and David Holtz. David Holtz had basically a massive breakthrough in this 3D motion tracking technology, and that's really what's enabled us to do this. So I'm going to pass you over to Kai. So actually, I'll just say that the product's not actually on sale yet. We're actually launching very shortly in May 19th. So we've been rolling these out to about 10,000 developers. So we've got a pretty good community at the moment. Unfortunately, it's still closed, but we're really looking forward to being able to open that up. And the thing that we're really been excited about is the ability that we've been able to actually open source this JavaScript API. So I'll hand you over to Kai now.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk a little bit about learning JavaScript. I think a lot of you guys already know JavaScript based on some of the previous presentations. But there are a lot of people who don't know JavaScript, and gesture interface is going to be really important for them. People like dancers, physical therapists, sculptors. They want to be able to interact with 3D environments. They don't know C++. They don't know JavaScript or any of these Java, Python, these things yet. How did they learn JavaScript? And how is the LeapMotion community, how we're going to build a community around this device to get gesture interface to take off? The first thing I would recommend to anyone who is trying to learn JavaScript is to find an excellent community. If you already know programming, you're going to pick up JavaScript pretty easily. But if you don't, we're taking a lot of lessons from the D3 community. D3 is a community I participate a lot in. You saw some visualizations earlier. I think Gilles showed you some with event source, those pie charts that we're animating. It's a data visualization library. Data visualization is very similar to what's happening on this device. We're taking some data and we're projecting it into this visual space. This is taking a visual space, these two cameras on this device, and projecting it into some data. So they're in these kind of twin problems. The great thing about the D3 community is there are hundreds of examples. So if you want to know how to do one little thing, there is probably an example out there that shows you how to do that one little thing, and you can compare it to another example that's just a little bit different, and you learn by comparing these differences. There are in-depth tutorials that explain how to do very specific things. In this middle here, we see the wealth of nations. If you've seen this Hans Rosling talk of this motion graphics, explaining how the world has become healthier and wealthier over time. There's in-depth tutorials about how to do this, and this is exactly what we need with gesture interface and what we're trying to provide. You should find a community that has mathematicians. Why do you need mathematicians? Mathematicians, they solve brutally hard problems that if you haven't studied mathematics for many years, it's going to be very hard for you to solve these problems. Problems related to topology, in this case, tracking of the hands, getting good data off this device in a very short amount of time. Pretty much all great communities have mathematically minded people around them, especially when it deals with interaction and visualization. I'm going to show you an example. All of these visualizations here were done by this mathematical programmer, Jason Davies, from London, and I'm going to show you an example of one of these with the LeapMotion in a moment, and you'll see how cool it is. It's always great to have a place to have discussions and ask questions. D3 has a Google group. With LeapMotion, we have these forums. So these are places that people can share ideas, talk about trying to integrate with Windows, Linux, OS X, the web. And we even have a GitHub group. I know we've been pumping GitHub a lot. It's OpenLeap. This is something that has just totally come together from the open source community. This is what I started kind of helping out with some open source examples before I was working with Leap. All kinds of stuff for working with processing is another community, 3JS, Cinder, Open Frameworks. All these things have awesome communities of creative coders. And it's great to just embed yourself in a community and just absorb all their knowledge. So with that, I'm just going to give a quick example of using Leap with D3. This is a map. It was originally created by Jason Davies. What I can do here with the Leap motion is just kind of go in here. Let me just reorient the world. All right, so I have a spinning world here. If I tilt my hand left and right, I just accelerate this rotation. I can also rotate it in this other direction by lifting my hand forward and back. And I can go anywhere I want. I can go to Australia. I can zoom in here. I'm in Australia. Where else should I go from here?
Belgium.
Belgium? All right, here we go. Here we go. Is it this one? Is it this one? This one in the middle here? I'm sorry, it was the device. Anyway, so this is just an example of what you could do. It's very easy to integrate D3, really any JavaScript library. In fact, this is coming off a WebSocket. We just heard Michael, how do you Michael. Explain WebSockets. It's just sending JSON messages over WebSockets. So it's very easy to program with this device in JavaScript. So I'm very excited. I hope that if you're interested in gesture interface, you play around with it. I'm going to pass it off to Isaac. He's going to show some examples with 3JS, which is 3D in the browser.
Hello. Hey, I'm Isaac. So he was talking about D3, and that's one of the wonderful communities surrounding HTML5. Another really great one is 3JS. So just like D3, there's a ton of different examples. There's tutorials. There's like different groups that help you. There's an IRC. So basically, there's a bunch of different ways that you can become part of the community, and the community really helps you to grow not only as a programmer, but as part of the open source community. So like, for example, the first GitHub open source project that I contributed to was actually that OpenLeap project, and it was definitely because of things like 3JS. So this is one thing that's really interesting to me is basically the way that the Leap can do things that really haven't been done before. Because you have a different dimension of interaction, it really allows you to literally do things like, in this case, you can see that little pink object can move in 3D space, which is an interaction that we couldn't do before. So this is a little project that I made for this demo. And basically what you do is it's like Leap Snake. So you kind of go and you grab these different objects. And as you grab the different objects, they're all different loops. So you start making a song by literally interacting with the objects. And you can see the tail kind of grows longer and longer. And then basically what's really cool too is that it's not just another dimension, but it allows you to do things that weren't possible. So in this case, we can draw a circle and speed up the music. We can also do the same thing and slow it down, pretty much as slow as we want. And then we can also kind of tap the screen, and it'll let us jump forward. If we're going really fast, we can also just stick our hand in and slow it down completely. So you can see that it kind of allows you to make games that literally could not exist before. And with that, one thing that's also really fun about it is that once you have one thing designed, you can sort of, you can sort of apply those same techniques to different interfaces. So this one is a Reddit browser, and we can circle to kind of zoom in. And then when we decide we're at a place where we want, we can kind of stick our hand in, move in the Z direction, and then when you see a picture you want, like that dude. You can tap it into place, see what it looks like, get rid of it. And it basically means that there's not only just new games you can play, but there's literally new ways to interact with all sorts of information. He was doing data. For me, it's cute puppies. So with that, I'll give it to Josh, who really made everything possible.
Okay, cool. I was going to show like demos off my laptop, but I've decided not to. I'll just tell you about LeapJS, kind of like where we are today and where we're going. So the honest truth is I did not start LeapJS. It was handed to me when I joined the company. It was done by one of our summer interns. And it was like 50 lines of code that showed how to interface with the Leap using JavaScript. And I think his first demo was like a Spotify player, like playing and pausing that. And it's like, great, like this is awesome that you can interface with something like this on the web. So then like what I did after that was I took that code, I put it up on GitHub, I made it available to the public, and just started cleaning it up and making it easier and easier to use. So today, where we're standing with LeapJS is you can go grab that software if you have a Leap, and you can just say leap.loop and start processing frames that are coming off the device using JavaScript. And that's just the beginning of like where we're going with this. As well, like Isaac demonstrated some different gestures that are available with the Leap. So like being able to do circles, being able to do taps, and as well swipes are supported now. So you have like some very basic things that you can do with it. As well too, we have like an API. This is only available right now with native apps, where you can point on the screen. And it's as though like an invisible laser line was coming out of your finger and hitting the screen. And pretty soon we're going to have that available on the JavaScript side. But that's just the beginning. We haven't even shipped the product yet, but we're already starting to think about what we really want to do next with the Leap. So for us, a big thing that we're pushing for is making it really easy for application writers to get going with the Leap and to start writing like beautiful games and applications using this hardware. Of course, a problem, when you think about like iPhone development and you think about just normal application development, it's really hard. Like doing native apps, especially if you're working in compiled languages, you know, these things take a long time to do. It's kind of slow. It's a little bit tedious. So, you know, there's so many iPhone developers that I've talked with who are like, yes, you know, in order to get that button, I had to spend 27 hours tweaking and going nuts and like losing my mind because, you know, like iOS is like notoriously fickle and finicky for doing this kind of thing. So where we really want to see the Leap is we want to make writing applications in HTML5 a first-class citizen in our ecosystem. You know, initially, right now, we're going to be supporting just different types of websites and having those available in our App Store at launch. But where we see this going is a place where native apps or HTML5 apps, like from an end user's perspective, who cares? They're just all applications, and they have your data, and they do useful things for you. So what we really, what we want to have happen is that the same APIs that are available to you in native applications of storing data, finding your friends, being able to go online, play a multiplayer game, or maybe you're both working on the same document at the same time. But we want to make all those APIs available, both for HTML5 applications and for native apps, so that really at the end of the day, it's up to the developer to, how did it go? Sleep? Meh. So at the end of the day, it's up to the developer to pick whatever technology they find best for the application at hand. So that's what we're thinking about for the Leap and what we're thinking about for the JavaScript interface. I just have to ask, are there any questions about what we're doing, and is there stuff you want to see or any other ideas? Right there. So there is a native SDK. So right now, today, we support C, C++, Objective-C, C#, Python. We have kind of like finicky support for Ruby. We support JavaScript. We support Node.js. That's where we're at today. Sorry?
Unity?
Unity, yep. There's Unity support as well. And to your other question, yeah, you know, like WebGL is like varying levels of implementation. It's kind of messy. So my current thinking on this is what we want to probably do, and don't hold me to this, but this is where I'm going with it, is we want to release a native player, if you will, that's based on top of probably Chrome, and that equalizes all the platforms for everyone. So that if you're writing a LeapJS app,
So like your own browser.
exactly, yeah, and use that as the player that can work in like a full screen mode and be like a really great presenter, so that everyone has the same level playing field for writing HTML5 apps in. Anyone else? Any questions, criticisms, critiques, so forth? Cool. Thank you so much then.